the temper. Got a nice, pretty good even straw color on the blade, and I think the temper did pretty well. We are now going to put a 120 grit belt on here, which I have already put on here actually, and we're going to start to knock some of this forge scale off and get it cleaned again, and then we might still grind some of this edge here and try to get some of that decarb layer off of there, thinning out the blade just a little bit. I want to be a little cautious. I do have a thing of water over here, so as I'm grinding, I'm going into the water, making sure to keep it cool. I've noticed with these 120 grit belts, at least on this, they tend to warm up pretty quick, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit and see what we can get off of here. All right, so after going over both sides with the 120 grit, we have cleaned up the forge scale off the side of the blade. We did a Scotch Brite belt along the basically top and bottom of it for the most part. Also cleaned up some of this area here, which I kind of like the forged finish to have a little bit of that. Obviously I'll have a lot of hand sanding to do to kind of blend this in a little bit better. But for the most part, you know, it's kind of the look I like, having a little bit of that forge texture up here. And then if all goes to plan, I should have a nice dark kind of up and down pattern on the bottom of the blade, and then this part will be shiny up top on both sides. So hoping so anyway. You can definitely in person kind of sort of make out the line of where it's at. I know it won't pick it up on camera, so I probably won't even try to show you that right now, but I'm going to keep going a little bit more with the this thing right here. Probably do some more of that, and yeah, try to clean it up a little bit more. Then we're gonna do hand sanding. I'm gonna hand sand the crap out of it and get it nice and clean. So here we are over in the corner of the shop. We're over where I do the hand sanding. Probably won't show a whole lot of that, but just kind of wanted to show sort of the setup that I have. Got these little cheap, you know, whatever you call those things, little quick clamps basically. Screwed them down to the end of the table, and then that way I've got basically the knife blade kind of hanging out over the table, and it's pretty secure. I mean, it's got a little wobble, but you can tighten them down and get them to stay pretty good, and it works out pretty good. I got all my sandpaper back here. I was sanding with WD-40, which works pretty good. I feel like it's helps take some of the metal off, but it does get pretty dirty. So I've been kind of switching up that to some Windex instead, and that's worked out pretty good. It still keeps it clean, kind of lubricates it and helps get some of the metal off. But anyway, just thought I would show that real quick. Throw you guys up here real fast. And we'll drop it on down. Come on down, y'all. Come on down, y'all. Come on down, y'all. And yeah. Little hand sanding action. Man, the camera really shakes when it does that, don't it? Hey y'all, how y'all enjoying my YouTube video, y'all? Hey, y'all enjoying my YouTube video? Man, I be looking like Sonic the Hedgehog though, for real, man. Hey, y'all enjoying my my hand sanding portion of this video, y'all. Okay, seriously though. I'm gonna start out with some 220. Alright, so just finished up there with 1000 grit, and once we get her nice and clean, you can see that it's pretty shiny. You can even see my reflection in there. Yellow. Anyway, so got both sides down to 1000 grit. The next step that we're going to do before we etch is we're going to bring it inside in the kitchen. We're going to go ahead and put some soap on it in warm water, and that's going to help to get any minute traces of metal out of those very fine lines. So we'll go ahead and do some dish soap and water, and then we'll bring it back in here after we get it dried, and we'll put some acetone on it to get it super clean. And then once we get it wiped off and dried, we'll be ready for the acid. So I'm gonna run inside, go put some soap water on this, and we'll be right back. All right, so we just got done hand sanding down to 1000 grit. Got her wiped off. The blade is looking a little, you can see all those spots on there. I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know if that's from the oils from quenching and I didn't sand enough or what. But you can kind of see that line right there. And it goes kind of through the middle of the blade, although it is kind of hard to see. You can kind of see it there on that side kind of going. So we know we've got the two different metals and the line right there. You can see it really just right there, but it does run here. It's a little harder to see. But yeah, we're going to try to dip it into the ferric and take it out real quick. I really don't know what's going on with this ferric chloride. It might be contaminated or old. It's really etching unevenly. And it's not really even etching the correct way. Like the bottom should be dark and the top portion should be light, even though that's kind of what it looks like. But still, just like you can see that it's not etching very smoothly, or evenly, I should say. So I guess we just didn't get the blade, especially on this side, completely clean or ground down enough or something. So this side looks okay. It's a little more even. This side not so much. So I think we'll stop and I'll re-hand sand this side to try to get it a little more evenly, and then we'll see where that gets us. All right, so unfortunately, going back over it and hand sanding again, you can tell we still have a little bit of unevenness on that side. This side's a little bit better. I really did hand sand quite a bit more just then, and still coming out a little uneven. You can kind of make out the line a little bit in the right light, but obviously this really isn't cutting it. Don't really know why. So I think we're gonna go to a coffee etch and try to darken the 1080 steel with coffee and hopefully that will keep the 15 and 20, that is the outer cladding, a little brighter. And we'll see if we can get a better contrast doing it that way. Because right now the ferric chloride isn't working or doing what I want it to do, unfortunately. So I wish I knew more about the correct process. It's funny, you can get on YouTube and you see all kinds of people dunking their blades into the ferric and then it comes out just perfect. So clearly I'm missing something. If somebody out there is watching this and has some tips for me, please comment in the comment section and help a brother out here, because I'm struggling a little bit. Try to get you guys a little close up here of it before we go into the coffee. Got to try to find the right light, but yeah, you can kind of see the line a little bit. But yeah, not super great. It just looks like a muddy type blade, which is not what we wanted to make. We do not want to make a muddy chopper. A bloody muddy chopper. That's not what we were after here, mate. A bloody muddy chopper? No thanks. So yeah. What are you gonna do, man? You gonna give up? No, I don't think so. We're not giving up today. You embrace the stink and you keep on going. Ain't that right? Yes, sirree. It is right. So, I think we're gonna mix up a concoction here of instant coffee. I've already got some hot water in here, and we're gonna go ahead and pour in some of this instant coffee. Give a nice good amount, and we will rinse this blade down one more time really good, and then we'll stir it up with our knife and stick it in there and see if that will help us. Again, this is my second attempt at San Mai, and the first one, it went okay. I'll have to try to find a picture of the finished knife. You can pretty clearly see the 15 and 20 layers in that knife that I did. It's a little tiny wavy band of light material that kind of runs through the blade. And so I feel like, you know, that one went pretty well. So I'm just wondering what happened with this particular one, if I did something wrong or I missed a step or something. So I don't know. We'll find out here though. Go ahead and throw it in this mix of instant coffee, and we'll let it soak in there for quite some time. I'll probably let it go for maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, something like that. So we got a pretty good healthy mix. It smells really good. So you know, if you got a big stout bubbly mix of brown liquid, you probably got the right amount in there. I think the more that you do, probably the better off you'll be. That's just my opinion. Probably the more you throw in, probably the darker it's going to be. Anyway, we'll let that hang out for a while. Go take a little break. We're not going to let this defeat us. We'll figure it out as we go, and I'll keep you guys posted. We'll come back after 4 or 5 hours, pull that out, give it a look-see, and hopefully it'll turn out good. Then if it doesn't, we're going to keep going and try something else. So anyway, we'll see you here in a second. So we are back. I just took the blade out of the coffee, and it really didn't do anything. In fact, the blade just looked muddy and just pretty inconsistent. I think I've come to the conclusion that maybe my ferric chloride was either old or contaminated. Either that, or maybe I didn't hand sand up to a high enough grit. So yeah, good times. A lot of work went into trying to get that to come out well, and it didn't go so well. So trial and error. Now what I've decided to do is I cleaned off the blade again. I probably should have shot a picture of what it looks like. It looked pretty hideous. You can just take my word for it. But I went ahead and cleaned it all off. I am now up to, I think that was 2500 grit. I read on a couple of forums, the higher grit sandpaper you use and the finer mirror-like finish that you get, the better potential etch it gets. So that's kind of the problem that I'm having right now, is getting a good etch. I'm kind of stumped, honestly. I mean, I used 15 and 20 for the outside pieces, and I used 1080 for the core piece, which essentially, let's see, actually right here, this is the exact billet that I started with for this blade. So I've got this 15 and 20, you can even see right there, 15 and 20, and another piece of the 15 and 20, plus I had the 1080 for the core, right? So put the 1080 in the middle, 15 and 20 on the outside. I am positive that I put them in the correct order. I welded all the way around for a 0 atmosphere. The forge weld went super well. So I'm just really stumped, because when I go to throw it in the ferric chloride, the whole entire thing gets nasty. It etches all of it and all kind of splotchy looking. I've dunked it in and let it sit for 10 seconds, pull it out, scrub it down with both sandpaper and steel wool. I've tried then, that didn't work, so I tried letting it hang out in the ferric for 5 minutes, pulled it out, tried the steel wool. I just wasn't getting any sort of evenness to the etch. So now I just finished up this side. I'll get you in the light here and show you. Let's see, yeah, I basically got this side done down to a 2500. You can actually see the line now that we're getting it in such a high polish. You can see the line of the metal there, and then I've got this side. I still have a couple of grits to go through. Let me see if I can get it. But yeah, it's pretty well, almost a mirror polish, and you can see the line. So theoretically, you know, everything below that line should be dark, and everything above that line should be the nickel steel that won't etch quite as fast. So yeah, we're gonna try it like this again. I got a couple more grits to go through. I've got 2500 and then 3000 grit to do. And we'll see if that makes a difference. Maybe bringing it up to that high of a grit will help even the etch. I don't know. The other thing that I've done is I've dumped my old ferric chloride that I had, got rid of it, and I only had about a quarter left in this. It was only up to about here. So I just decided to fill the rest to the top with water. That would be a, 1 to 4 mix for the ferric chloride, and it's been hanging out in here with the lid on, so I know it's good. And we'll see if that maybe helps. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and finish out the 2500 and 3000 grit on this. Although it's already pretty mirror-like, you can pretty much see my backyard. So yeah, definitely a lot of work goes into doing this stuff. It's not easy getting down to that high of a grit. But I am going to finish up the 2 grits, and then I'll turn it back on and we'll dunk it in the new ferric chloride. And I'll bring you along for that ride so you can see my trials and tribulations. So hang tight and we'll be there. All right, so we're back. Pretty much got this thing sanded down 2500 and then to 3000 grit. You can even see the line running in between the 2 different types of metals. And you can see it on this side as well. If I could get it in the light, there it is. This side's a little bit lower, but that's okay. That's not going to bother me much. It just kind of makes it unique. So anyway, yeah, we're going to give it a go now that we have sanded it down and tried to get it all even and super clean. We're going to give it a dunk and see what happens. So I'm just dropping it in there, letting it hang out for a second. And you see a lot of people's videos where they have it in here for literally 10, 15 seconds. They pull it out and it's like perfect. And as you can see, let me get a napkin so that I don't drip this. As you can see, not perfect whatsoever. Now, I guess you can kind of see, maybe that's just because it's wet. Yeah, it's just because it's wet there. Yeah, it all just darkens up. You know, and maybe that's supposed to happen. I don't know. I think what we're going to try this time is I'm going to leave it in here for a while. Instead of pulling it out and scrubbing it right away. I just watched a video of another fellow YouTuber, and he said he had really good success after a bunch of trial and tribulation like I'm going through. But the key to his success was letting it sit in here for upwards of 20 to 30 minutes and pulling it out and cleaning it, and then doing that several times. And then he also did a coffee etch, and at the end of that coffee etch it got pretty dark. So, you know, trying to follow the advice of other people who have had success. And yeah, so I'll let it sit in here for a little bit. I'll turn it back on when we pull it out. We'll clean it up a bit and see if we can get the oxides off of the shiny steel, and hopefully it'll keep the 1080 darker. So I'll turn it back on here in a sec. It has now been in here for probably 10 minutes. I dunked it in for maybe 15 seconds the first time and pulled it out, and it was pretty dark and splotchy, so I don't really know what's going on. I'll let it sit in here for, like I said, about 10 minutes, and this is where we're at. So as you can see, it's all pretty dark. I'm going to try to go ahead and wipe it down with some steel wool and see what that does. So I just got a little piece of steel wool here, and I see people doing this and talking about this, just wiping off the oxide layers, and we'll see if that does anything whatsoever. Just giving it a quick little wipe. I'm going to hit it with some Windex to clean it off over this trash bag. And we'll see what that does. So we've got this cleaned off and wiped off, and as you can tell, it's not looking really great. So I'm not really sure what's going on with it. Hi buddy. I got my little dude in here hanging out with me today. As most things go, he likes to come in and hang out right when I'm doing something, which is kids, you know. So hey man, gotta roll with it. You want to say hi? Yeah. Get your little head in there. Oh, there he is. You gonna say hi?
Oh, you're saying hi.
I don't know. We're just saying hi to whoever wants to watch. Could be somebody, could be two people, could be nobody. We could just be watching ourselves. All right, and we're back. And decided to go ahead and re-hand sand all of this blade. That was not so fun. I probably worked my way up through the grits from 400 to 3,000 about 3 or 4 times during this particular last couple of days, trying to get this thing to etch right. Just wasn't having a lot of great success, as I'm sure you saw. I really would like to know what I'm doing wrong. If there's somebody out there watching this that can help a brother out, leave it on the comments. That would be really cool. But so for basically the finish on this blade, since we couldn't get it to etch well, I went ahead and re-hand sanded. And you can kind of see the line there running down the middle. And, you know, I just figured that to me was a cooler look than the muddy etching that we got. Kind of the same thing on this side. You can kind of see it running down this way, and in person you can pick it up pretty easily. It's kind of hard with the camera and the lights in here, but at least there's that, I guess. I mean, it's not obviously what we were going for, but I'd be chasing my tail if I was gonna try to get the finish that I was hoping for with this one. So I'm gonna have to do some more research, look into some different ways on how to get a proper etch. I really do think maybe the metal wasn't quite right. Maybe there wasn't a good nickel amount in the steel. Like I said before, I got it on Amazon. It was some Chinese metal. Who knows? Maybe I should just get my metals from an actual knife supplier, which I have done in the past. I just saw a deal on these and thought I would try them. So anyway, we're going to finish this out with a little bit of green buffing compound on the blade, and hope that kind of helps make it all nice and uniform. So we'll do that part now. I've got a little just miniature bench grinder here. We'll load it down with some compound, and we'll throw it on here. So after I get some of this wiped off, you can kind of see what that green compound in a buffing wheel does. This would be the side that we didn't do. You know, it still looks pretty good, but after we buff it out, it definitely gives it a bit more of of a mirror finish, which is cool. So yeah, I think that's the look we'll go for this one. I was planning on etching this and putting a handle on in this video, but because we ran into problems with etching, I figured I would make this more about the etching process in hopes that someone out there can help me or learn from my mistakes. So I think this is where we're going to leave this one, and in the next episode we'll be doing some handle work with this one. I had planned on using some pretty cool handle material for this, but because it didn't come out quite right, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or save it. I have a couple of different wood blocks. Here's a dyed maple burl in green color. It's pretty cool, and I think once you get it ground down and polished out, it ought to make a cool one. The other one is another maple burl. This one is in blue, and it's pretty cool as well. We also have some of these other ones over here. We have some black palm, some ironwood, some laminated scales. I might actually end up trying these, maybe, I'm not sure yet. But anyway, yeah, stick around for the next episode to see what we go with for the handle. It still is going to make a pretty cool blade. It's just not going to be exactly what we were hoping for, but that's okay. We'll make this one, and we'll get the handle thrown on in the next episode. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.